Welcome to the day 19 of our 30 days AI automation challenge. Today, we are not going to build anything new. I want to explain to you what APIs are and their function in AI automation. Is that okay? You need to understand this because we have been using it and some of you are having issues with it. I want to explain the work it does in AI automation. Is that okay? So let's proceed. Now, your workflow is hungry for things it cannot create by itself. Now, I'll be using a restaurant to illustrate all throughout the video what APIs is. That okay? So let's say your workflow is hungry for things it cannot create. So no single application you are seeing online works on its own. Is that okay? No single application online. There are some software that needs another software to work with. They need another software to work with. It's the same with even normal business settings. You need a worker that can give you design. You need someone, for example, in Express Tech, I have a secretary, we have a graphic designer that design our thumbnails. We have this person, we have executive assistant and all of these things. So a person does not work on its own. So no simple single application works on it. Is that okay? So to get better result, you need to work with other applications. Is that okay? So, and I said I'll be using a restaurant to illustrate it. You cannot just walk into the kitchen and cook the data yourself. You can't just go into the n8n and say, oh, let me cook everything, and the n8n will do the whole work for you. You notice that we have been introducing nodes, we have been introducing API keys, we have been introducing tools, we have been introducing memory and all of those things. That's because n8n need all these things to work. Now, let me give you an analogy which you are going to be using. Let's say you go into a restaurant and say, okay, I want to buy food. Is that okay? You sit down in the table. The person who comes to you is called the waiter. The waiter asks you, what do you want? You say, okay, I want fried rice, I want chicken. You pick the order from the paper and from the book, and then he takes it back to the kitchen. Those ones in the kitchen process it, and then they bring back the POS to you. You make payments, and then they now bring the food to you. Is that okay? All these things happens. The waiter that is taking your order, bringing the food to you, is not the one who is cooking the food. The POS person that is bringing the POS, or the POS is not from the company. Is that okay? A cooking company will not be a financial company, so they might be partnering with OPay, Money Point. So that one is also another agent that is used in the company. Is that okay? So all these things work together just for you to enjoy your meal. It's the same thing with the n8n. The n8n needs all other information, including the APIs, and I will explain what API is. Is that okay? So just take a look. You want jollof rice, the kitchen. I've explained all of this, right? So enter the application programming interface. Is that okay? So the digital waiter that takes your exact request to the server and brings the request data back to you is what we call APIs. Is that okay? API means application programming interface. It is the one that say, okay, you need OpenAI to help you write something. It now takes the result and give it to the n8n or whatever server to be able to help you do it. So that waiter is your API, and that's why API is very important, because people from the kitchen cannot notice that you are in the eating room, where they will not be cooking, and they will still come from there, to take your order to process. It will be very cumbersome. So they introduce a waiter and they pay the waiter, and that's why you are paying for API keys. Is that okay? So that is that. So the waiter transports the order but never cooks the food. So it takes the order, it brings the response, it delivers to the system. So the waiter basically is the API. The API ensures your order reaches the system and the data reaches you, provided you follow the instructions. And I'm going to show you, if you don't follow the instructions, what usually happens. Is that okay? So that is that. Of course, the APIs are very, very important. It ensures that whatever you want happens. You want the AI to write you an article, so the API is to help you ensure that it reaches out to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, to ensure that it writes that particular order. Is that okay? So translating the restaurant into, let me translate what I've been explaining the restaurant to you. So let's say the role and restaurants is for this one, and digital web and action is for the digital world. So the requester, which is you who wants to eat, is the customer in the restaurant setting, and then the source is the kitchen where they're going to fetch the food or cook the food, and then the messenger is the waiter. The product is what you want to eat, jollof rice, fried rice, in any of that thing. So now in the digital world, for example, in the n8n or make.com, Zapier, or anywhere that you're trying to build, the requester is the client, the source is the server, where this food is coming from, where that information is going to come from. You need API keys. Where is the source? ChatGPT. Is that okay? The messenger that is now going to midwife between you and ChatGPT is the API. And then the product is, you need data to translate. So data could be, of course, remember I taught you data is in form of text, is in form of numbers, is in form of JSON and all of those things, right? So the data is now the outcome. Is that okay? So the outcome of this is, if the client wants API, it could be wants to consume, store and process that. The server stores and process data, API transport requests and responses, and the final output is the data. Is that okay? So now, how you work to the waiter, detect or determine what happens in the kitchen, and the request you also give to the waiter also determines what the waiter is going to come. So if you tell the waiter, I need jollof rice, the waiter will never go and bring a bar. Is that okay? So the waiter will never go and bring swallow, rather, let me use swallow. The waiter will never go and do that. So what you get is looking at the menu, asking for food, fetching data from a server without changing anything. Now we have been building something where we use get, and when I was building I think 11 labs voice chat, I think I used post. So if you say get, it means that it should get the information without filtering anything, direct to you. And if you say post, it means that you want it to send data based on what you did. And in that 11 labs where I was building, where we use post, I think I renamed the path to, I think, n8n something, or I think Jacob something. So I rename it to something. So we are actually determining what comes in. But for the get, is fetching the information raw. For the post, you determine it. So for the kitchen set, it determines on what you choose from the menu. That's what, it will actually gives to you. I think this should illustrate basically that. So the chicken only accepts your data written in one language. So in the kitchen setting, it accepts the data based on what you tell the person. But in an n8n or AI automation setting, it accepts your order as JSON. We have been talking about JSON, and this is how JSON is being written. It's written in curly bracket. You can see that I've been talking about curly bracket. This is how it is. So it accepts the information like this. That's okay. JSON provide a structured, predictable way to make. So see, computer does not understand English, and that's the truth about it. Computer understands, it has its own information that it understands. Is that okay? So you have to understand that computer does not understand. Different application has their different languages. Is that okay? So but for n8n or basically AI automation softwares like make.com, Zapier, n8n, you understand JSON. And you can see this is how JSON, we have been placing the JSON in the curly bracket. It must be in the curly bracket, and then the columns is to separate the item from the choice and from others. Now packing your exact data request. So this is the curly bracket, that is your JSON. So if you put it, let's say we put order jollof rice and we put it in our brackets, in our quotes like this, it should be able to say, okay, this one here is the primary data you want to fetch, is what you are putting in this particular quote, and then the specific parameter is plantains. Is that okay? Dodo and all of these things. Is that okay? So when we used to copy that JSON, you used to see so many things, and part of the things is add-ons. Is that okay? We have add-ons like egg and all of these things. So let's say the JSON carry add-ons dodo, and then what comes out after is add egg, which is not add dodo. It means that the result you are going to get is unwanted. So if you tell the waiter, I need rice, and he now go and bring dodo, or he now go and bring swallow, it means that your result is not, that's not what you want. Is that okay? So like I said before, you must put the right, give the right request before the waiter brings in the right thing. So your API keys or whatever data you are giving your JSON must follow what you want. And that's why I said if it appears on red, there's an issue. That I always show you that if it appears on red, it must appear on green or no color at all. Is that okay? So let's proceed. So the bouncer ensures only paying customers enter the kitchen. You cannot just send the waiter around to do your bidding. the server must verify you have authorization to request this data. Is that okay? So the of course, most of the most of the experienced or high classic restaurants have bouncers, they have security people who are there, so they ensure that only the right people enter the restaurants and only the right people enters the kitchen to bring food. Not everybody enters the kitchen, but only the waiter. Is that okay? So you can see that the API key is what now identify the right person who is to enter, and the token, of course, is the temporary wristband, the temporary pass granted for a specific secure option. So a token is temporary, API keys might be permanent. Is that okay? API key is permanent while token is actually temporary. It means that API key you can still use it. Token is is just for a shortened time. For example, OTP is a token. It only expires within, they even tell you sometimes it will expire 5 minutes or they expire 60 seconds and all of that. So the chef check the endpoint to see if your order exists. You want jollof rice, so the person who is inside, who is the chef who is cooking the food, will check if what you order exists. So he will check, the API delivers the JSON order to the server, then the server reviews the request. The server is what we call the chef. Now review the request against the available endpoint. If you order jollof rice and they have the endpoint, they prepare the data. If you order a hamburger and they don't serve it, the process stops. Now the server will actually check if what you are applying for or what you want is existing, and if it does not exist, it will return back to you and tell you that okay, what you request for does not exist. Two things happen here. Number one, if your JSON is not correct, your request, your information you are sending the waiter is not correct, it will actually detect error, and that it will come and say, okay, jollof rice is not there, even though jollof rice is there. It's easy because you misinform the waiter. Number two, it could also be that you want jollof rice, but jollof rice is not there at that moment, and it could return back to you, say that is unwanted, that there's no data there. So what will happen in that second instance is that it is not all sources that has what you are looking for. Is that okay? So you could be looking for something in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will respond, the API will respond and say, okay, ChatGPT cannot do this. So you may not likely go to Gemini, go to DeepSeek, go to Claude and do it. I'm just using ChatGPT or AI as an example. We have other forms of AI like AP5, like we're going to be talking about AP5 in the next class. So we just have all these different softwares. So the software you are trying to use, not just AI, the software you are trying to use, if you return back to you and say this request is not available, the fault is not from you. The fault is the fact that they can't do this. So use another application software. I hope that is clear. Is that okay? So let's proceed, and then the waiter returns with a status code, and you can see it. So if the waiter returns and say what you want is there, you can see that it will now be given to you. If it's not there, it will now also be given to you. See, this is how a normal receipt payment should look like, and then it should also be given to you like this when the result comes out. Is that okay? So one order is easy, 1,000 order is very difficult. Is that okay? Very, very difficult. So in real AI automation, you are not making just one request, you are making dozens of hundreds of requests to completely differentiate services at the exact time. So in n8n, you are making so many requests, right? You are making a request, I need ChatGPT, I need Gemini, I need AP5, I need OpenAI, I need how they call, maybe human in the loop, I need this. So you are putting a lot of things, you are putting a lot of nodes together to make your automation. So if you are sending all those things manually, it becomes very, very difficult, and that is why API is now in place. API is now what midwives everything and helps you run all these things separately. So that is why you don't use only one API for all things. So you don't go to restaurants and you don't go to restaurants and say you go and give me food, you go and give me POS, you go and give me this at the same time. No, if you want to do everything at the same time, you need different API keys for different things. I think this should be clear. Gemini has their own API keys, AP5 has their own API keys, OpenAI has their own API keys, and any kind of keys you want, it has their own different API keys. So n8n takes the executive chair. It will virtually manage all the APIs, ensuring every request happens in the right order. So the n8n is managing everything. You put a ChatGPT, the n8n is helping you to manage it all at the same time instead of you managing manually. And that's why using a tool to do AI automation is very important. Example, n8n, Zapier, etc. Is that okay? All right, so let's connect the triggers to actions in perfect harmony. New payment, generate welcome to send notification, update database. So you make a payment, they generate a receipt for that your payment, they send a notification, you say okay, give him the food, and then the updates, they bring the food to you. That is updating either Google Sheet or anything you want. So n8n listening for a trigger, then automatically send the right waiters to the right kitchens to cross there. So the AI agent acts as a specialist executor. Is that okay? He acts as a specialist executor. While n8n managing the floor plan, and AI agent sit outside your workflow making intelligent decision. It does not just follow instruction. It figures out which waiter to send and which errands to complete for you. Like I said again, it's going to carry a lot of other, this thing. So the n8n is supposed to help you manage all of them at once. Not just n8n, Zapier. I've just been saying that. Is that okay? So this is the anatomy of the AI agents. Majorly is agent, AI agent that has this API key. Majorly is all this AI agent that has API key. So this is the AI agent. It has the brain. We have been talking about this, is the chat model, which you can include OpenAI, you can include maybe anyone, OpenAI, Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, etc. Then the agent also has the hands, which is the tools. That's other specific tools like the APIs, like add anything, Google Sheets, email, and all of that. Then you also have the memory that helps you to remember your order, helps you to remember whatever you did. Is that okay? Now let's look at it in this aspect, the blueprint. Technically, if you see, let's summarize everything. Technically, if you have this, you are the client, and then the API is the waiter, the JSON is the order ticket that you have ordered for the food, and then the API keys is the bouncer's pass. There's a clear difference between the API key and the API. Please take note of that. The API is the waiter. The API key is the bouncer's pass. Is that okay? Then the n8n is the events planner. The AI agent is the chief executor. Is that okay? You know how the kitchen works. It is time to start the work now. So this is how everything was. You already know how everything is working. It's time now to understand that, okay, when I need API keys, this is what API keys is, this is how to use them, this is what is helping me to execute them, and then we proceed. I think with this knowledge, you should be able to know what you have been doing in the past and then what to do in the future, particularly when it has to do with APIs. Thank you so much. I will see you in my next class, which is day 20. And we're going to be building something very unique in day 20, job search automation. Don't miss it.